Hello, people around the globe. How are you? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. From which region you are? Hope you all are doing great, wonderful. This is Dr. Sanjay Kumar back once again another Facebook into live series episode. I came once again with another great personality. Let's move to talk from him. Before we go to him, I must say that we have a wonderful personality, a wonderful human being. He's from the Mexico City. He is also TV host. He is the climate change researcher, and he has a lot of multiple qualities. He is a multi-talent person. So let's move to him to welcome him to our show. So welcome, Roberts, to our show. How are you feeling?
Hello, Mr. Kuman. Hello to all your audience. I'm great. Thank you for having me this time.
Thank you so much. You accept our request and came live with us on very short notice time. It's really honor and privilege for us, for my people, to learn new things from you. Before we go on further, would you please introduce to my viewers?
Yes, for sure, no problem. My name is Roberto Hernandez Juarez. I'm from Mexico City, and I'm like many of my qualities. I'm a law student, and I'm also sustainability research CEO and founder of Youth Building the Future Global, an organization that focuses, as you mentioned, on climate action and sustainability action. Different levels like public entities and private entities, also with non-governmental organizations and with individuals.
Thank you so much, Robert, for your such a wonderful and beautiful introduction to my viewers. My question to you that before we go on detailed discussion, climate change and how you came to climate change and so on, I have request please while I talk you mute mic so we can avoid the voice distortion. Okay, thank you so much, Robert. My question to you that would you please share your life journey from your childhood till what you are today, what struggle, what hurdles you have passed to reach on this stage. Uh, I mean to say, share your life journey, life struggle with my viewers.
For sure, in my pleasure. I was actually I'm gonna try to do this conversation a little bit more focused with the information that you share with your audience, and I focus on that day and that information about 7 billion people right now on the world. I think it's a great point, a great point to start this conversation, and that's actually how I start working not specifically on climate action, but specifically on sustainability. You know, like since 2015, the Sustainable Development Goals agenda was released by United Nations along with public and private sector. So the Sustainable Development Agenda is the heritage of the Millennium Agenda. So now talking about this, we understand that how our societies and democracies work. It is important to highlight and what is climate action, what is climate change, what is climate warming at the beginning of all. So it is important to highlight and to understand these three concepts because if we don't know that we are on a climate crisis, then we might don't understand what is sustainability and how we as individuals and governments can contribute to change the way we're related with our environment. And I think this situation is a information that it's acknowledged more people every day. I think it's not something we can hide. It's not something it is private and that anybody can know. I think it's actually something very obvious. Climate warming and climate instability through the past decade. So right now we're on the decade of action where we only have 10 more years to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And within these 10 years, it is important to highlight the role of young people and the next generations. Because right now, if we don't do nothing, you might don't see the consequences at a short time or a short period, but maybe in some years, in 5, 10, or 20 years, we will be facing the results of this irresponsibility and this this doing. So that's why it is important to highlight what is climate action. I think one of the main and most situations is COVID-19, because if we now know 1 year has passed, we know how COVID-19 was searched in this wet market in China, and what are the consequences of this pandemic. So how this pandemic was first introduced to a human being, and that was because of uh, the the invasion of private and protected areas, biological protected areas, just as the jungle, as I mentioned. So you know that animal carries diseases by nature, also as humans beings we carry diseases by nature, but we are not prepared to face this amount of problems derivated from a contagious. As you mentioned, in I also love to highlight Yuval Noah Harari books about human history. When we now know, as the video of the introductional video, there are 7 billion people on the world right now. So are we going to feed 7 billion people in the future? How are we, how as a societies can we provide water? How can we provide food? How can we provide education? How can we provide basic human rights to 7 billion people across different geographical areas? So that is the topics we need to face in this decade of action, because there's a global gap of inequality all over the world. No matter if you were told to be in a first world country or a developing country, right now the world is facing a huge gap of inequality. This result of economical disruptive models when the richer in the pandemic, the richer are getting richer, they are getting more rich, and the poorer are getting poorer, and with less opportunities of jobs and education. So that's the Sustainable Development Goals. That's what I also do on Youth Building the Future Global, how we create these buildings, these bridges to public and private sector, and how we spread the world, how we educate people about these global issues and how to tackle, how to change this narrative on climate change. So that's what is important. First, we need to know we're on a climate emergency. Second of all, we also need to know we're facing an inequality gap like never before in human history. And third, that there's a problem that we can even dimension about their consequences, that is called climate change. And it goes along consumption and production, food waste, and pollution, and the production of energy. So it's a complex problem. It's something that is based on science. It's not something that we create to one day to another. It's something that is consequences of years and years of mass production and irresponsibility. That is what we're trying to. First of all, the first step that we're trying to take to educate people about the consequences of climate change and how to tackle these
Thank you so much, Roberts, for such a wonderful talk. And you shared about climate change, this consequence of climate change. You discuss about the how pandemic affect the people and their people life. My question to you is that why climate change occurs.
so as I mentioned before, climate right now is staggering the next generations. So I think the main also, as I mentioned, with COVID-19 and the virus and this economic disruption and social disruption, I think climate is a topic by itself. It's a complex topic, but that we need to face, that we need to take action to. Right now, we hear in a lot of forums, in a lot of events and online events about sustainability and climate action, about build back better. After this pandemic, the pandemic first of all is not over. It's still ongoing all over the world. The results of the pandemic is not yet here. So when we talk about climate change and climate action, we need to have the data, we need to have science, we need to have the method and the methodology to understand and study these complex situations, because we might see some reports of United Nations, some other public or private entities, when we see that is a certain or percentage, certain percentage of people are contaminating more than the other part of the world. So that's why we need to first of all educate people about their own consumption and production. Where's my food coming from? How am I wasting my food? How can I provide food to the people in need? How can I, as an individual, can participate and change their relationship in my context, in my own circle, in my conditions? No matter if I'm in the United States, if I'm in Canada, Brazil, and Mexico, or in China. It's actually about a global commitment. It's about a global compromise between all human beings to reduce this inequality gap. So, as I was mentioning before also, build back better in how we're going to face and solve this pandemic. We need to support private and public sectors. There's been 5 years already about this topic in the public agenda. Right now, we're on the decade of actions. We didn't think years to take main stage, but we also have more challenges coming, just as a green transition. And as you mentioned, the 7 billion
Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful information that why climate change occurs. And thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful talk on this topic. It's time for break. We will continue to talk with you after the break.
साईं, हमारी फसलों को कीड़े लग रहे हैं, साईं क्या करें?
बस आसान करो।
आसान करो हैं?
नहीं, आजकल तो दुबई के बड़े चक्कर शक्कर साईं, नई नई पैंट बुशर्ट साईं। साईं कोई हमारा भी दुबई में रोजगार करा दो साईं।
आसान करो।
आसान करो।
चाचू, ये थ्योरी समझ नहीं आ रही, समझाए ना कैसे करूं?
आसान करो।
हैं? आसान करो?
छोटे, इसमें तो बड़ा मसला है, शहर भेजना पड़ेगा।
दादी आसान करो।
आसान करो।
वीडियो करो, आसान करो।
अपनी जिंदगी की हर मुश्किल आसान करो। YouTube करो, सब आसान करो। A public service message by Rehan Foundation.
Viewers, welcome back after break. We are talking with Roberts. He's from the Mexico. He was talking about the social issue, climate change issue, and he is a wonderful people. He is a multi-talented. He's from the USA. He is a climate change specialist, TV host, and he is also a researcher. Let's move to Roberts to talk to proceed our talk further. Roberts, welcome back after the break. My question to you that as you are talking wonderfully on the climate change, my question is that how we prevent our Mother Earth from this climate change? How we prevent our Mother Earth from this climate change?
That's a hard question, actually. Yes. When we start to study climate actually just as a topic, as a science, a part of biology and meteorology and physics and intermulti and transdiscipline, when we start studying just climate as this complex science, actually we have like 200 or 115 years of studies depending of each discipline. But when we start to realize about CO2 and carbon, dioxide carbon on the environment, and how we start realizing about these uh, irregularities on the bodies, then we start to realize about where is all this contamination, where is all this pollution coming from. And then we realized that it was because our factories and because of our cars and the way that we were producing our society, the way that we were actually developing in our societies and democracies. So right now, and I mention it because through these years we now learn and now we know that these actions that we have in the past, it's going to have imminent consequences on the environment. No matter if we stop and listen to this quote, no matter if we stop producing or contaminating like right now completely in our societies, no matter if we turn off all the factories and all the contamination on the rivers and the air and the oceans, no matter if we stop it right now, there will be consequences within the 10 and 20 years because of the last 80 and 115 years of productions, depending on the geographical area. So there's going to be consequences no matter if we stop or we continue. And that's the main topic right now. We are it might seem weird, it might seem and it might seem stupid that we are going to continue contaminating, but that's also related to energy, that's relating to food productivity, that's related to education. So the disruptive model is to change the way that we're producing energy and the way that we are producing our food. We need to change to a green economy, to sustainable solutions like solar energy to get wind energy and to produce food, not wasting our own resources. You know that we spend a lot of food production to produce more food, but this is not sustainable when we try to get just a stick, when we try to get beef meat, when we try to get chicken meat. So there are big challenges for all humankind. There's not just one solution. There's nothing we can do right now to stop these consequences, but we can reduce the impact of these consequences in the near future. That's the main topic about it. Our consumption now causes temperature rise. We now causes an environmental freaking on north and south pole of our planet. We have tons and tons of plastic and radiation. There is radiation causes because of bomb testing to military testing in the oceans and in the maritime sea life. So we are eating polluted by plastic fish and also polluted by radioactivity animals. So definitely this is going to have impact on our life. So we need to change that model. If we want to change the future for the next generations, then we need to act now. We need to ask for a solution. We need to join collectively together to create a collective solution for everybody, for all humankind. leaving no one behind. And that's important to highlight. That's the topic and the quote of the Sustainable Development Agenda, to leave no one behind. Because if we segregate people by different sectors, then we don't realize that each sector will live independently, and maybe just 1% of the population will have a good benefit economically, socially, educationally, when they have a solutions and green sustainable life. But what about the 99% of the global population, the population that does not have millions and billions of US dollars in their bank accounts? They're going to live in marginated areas, they're going to live in contaminated areas, and we are going to feed by this conflict resources. So that might be a one of a kind response. This is the last, probably the last change that we have to solve our relationship with environment, talking about the oceans, talking about the life on land, and talking about climate action with environmental and the oxygen, the quality of the air, and how many chemical products we throw to the air second, not each year, not each day, but every second. There are tons and tons of polluted chemicals that we throw to the air that's going to have consequences in the consequences of
Thank you so much. Actually, I feel very amazed that how you explain this whole scenario, how you explain about how we prevent our Mother Earth from climate change. Thank you so much for sharing such a valuable, such a previous information and to me, to my viewers. As I have taken already lot of time of you, uh, already I have learned lot of things too from you. I have a one more question from you. As you are also working as a TV host, so share your journey, how you became as a TV host, and after becoming a TV host, how you are feeling things. So please share this journey to my viewers.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Command, first of all, for the opportunity. And answering your question, I realized, as I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, I realized about the climate change, realizing since I was a little child. I always loved to watch about wildlife and different topics related now to nature. So that's how I start with this love and this inquietude about communication and social media. As I was having my tuition and my formation as a researcher, I realized that there's a lot of papers, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of information right now, thanks to communication and to social media. We have access to a lot of more resources every second, every day. But sometimes this this communication does not get to the right people, or sometimes it's complicated to get this information to the people. So you know that now, taking as an example TikTok or YouTube or Twitch or Telegram or WhatsApp, Instagram, there are a lot of applications right now all over the world. And as a citizens and as a people, we are actually exposed to the social media. So so every one of us are now a content creator, as this program, which I'm really thankful to be part right now. We are all creative of content, but we need to know, it is important to highlight that, for example, in my case, I realized about the sustainability and inequality. There is not a program, a TV program, or like something that it's actually entertaining and it's interesting to young people, to young students, but where they can also learn about sustainability, when they can learn about climate action, when they can also participate and be part of the topic, because it's not only about about getting more information. It's about being part, and it's about being part of the solution. So that's why I created two topics. One of the two is different disciplines from different careers to talk about how they feel, what it's their formation, what it's their point of view on topics that are happening all over the world. And then I realized how diverse and how complex we as a human beings are. Because maybe I get that we have the same point of view. Maybe you and I have the same vision of climate change. But as you start talking with more and more people, you realize that maybe you feel alone, and then you start discovering more people, and then you don't feel alone. But then you start to feeling alone again because you realize people have different opinions from different topics. So maybe that's the whole point of this conversations with Primate Lane, when we talk about this publicly, when we get different points of young students. And the main thing is to diversify and expose, to bring to the public eye, to bring this conversation where everybody can access this conversation and get this information from different point of view. Because sometimes I don't know, maybe watching an old documentary or reading a newspaper or watching the news is not my what caught my attention the most, where I feel more comfortable. But maybe seeing young people just like me talking about this topic with an easy narrative, when they don't use in a specific a complex uh, channel conversation and language, I feel more attracted. That's how Primate Lane work. In Spanish is Primer Plano, Diálogo Juvenil, which is youth talking. And then we have climate sessions when we talk about climate issues, when we talk about climate in general, when we talk about people, with children, with young adults, about these climate topics. Now we're advancing and creating new projects to have this conversation in another continent, in another countries. So it's a daily thing. It's not easy. It's easy to think a project and maybe have the first and second or third chapter and or activity, but continue doing things every day slowly, take time, take effort, and it's not an easy thing, but definitely have a value in all effort. It's worth every day and every little thing that we're doing to achieve and to talk and to spread this topic and this information on sustainability and climate change. So that's how we started. I start working with different companies, with universities, with organization, and that's something I will never change about taking this decision and creating this network, which is not mine. And I want to say that it's more need than ever. We need to create bridges of communication, bridges of opportunities, and exchange different point of view. So in diversity, in multicultural environments, we realize the necessities and the needs of all the people that is on the same place that you. That maybe in another way it wouldn't be possible. So that's how I create this TV program, how I became the TV host of
Thank you so much, Robert, for such a wonderful conversation, for such a wonderful way you shared today with me. You taught me to my viewers about the climate change. You taught us about how we prevent our Mother Earth from the climate change. You also shared your life journey. You also share your journey as a TV host, and in the end, you also appeal the people for climate control, how we prevent from the climate control. So thank you so much for such a wonderful, such a lovely person being there, and such a knowledgeable person. Thank you for coming to my show, and it's really honor and privilege for me. Thank you so much. We will continue in another session. We'll talk new things. Till that, viewers, in next live session, we come with another new guest. We'll learn new things. Till that, stay happy, stay blessed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again, Robert. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Command. It will be my pleasure to be in another conversation with you and with all your audience. Thank you so much. Until the next time.
Thank you so much.